St. John, U.S. Virgin Island, is one of the Leeward Islands in the Caribbean archipelago. It is small, less than 20 square miles, with a population of just over 4,000. St. John is primarily a vacation destination, even though about 60% of the land on the island is protected in a U.S. national park. It is known for its beautiful beaches, diverse coral reefs that harbor hundreds of species of fishes, mangroves, its varied topography, a rich and varied history, and a vast diversity of plants. Dr. Gary Ray explains the biodiversity of plants on the island.
There's about 650 native species on St. John. Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands and the British Virgin Islands, with the exception of St. Croix, are all part of a continuous biogeographic region that only 10,000 years ago was only one island.
How did the Aboriginal species survive on the islands?
Well, the humans that were here pre-colonial or pre-Columbian certainly brought some plant species, food species, as well as fabric and medicines with them in their voyages. And they would introduce those to this island. Gnip, which is the little leathery drupe that is so popular these days, is an example of one of those food crops.
Original inhabitants of the Caribbean islands were the Amerindians, Arawaks, and Taínos, who had good working knowledge of the animals and plants. Unfortunately, most of their plant knowledge has been lost. Tourists who visit St. John typically flock to the beaches and rarely explore the island's diversity of plants. But more importantly is the fact that fewer and fewer native islanders know much about the plants and their uses. Let's explore some of the common plants and their uses on St. John, from the viewpoints of an Afro-West Indian native who is connected to the land and that of a botanical scientist on the island. Together, they have a combined knowledge of over 50 years.
Or donkey eye.
Lignum vitae.
The kashachu.
This is flamboyant.
Also gave or cave as well. We call it mabi.
It's soursop.
And we call it kasha.
This plant is called hoop vine.
This is the wild thyme.
Hymenaea corboril, with a less than dignified common name of stinktoe.
We call it the Christmas tree.
Called tamarind tree.
This here is the cankerberry.
This is bay rum tree.
We call it cassie.
Jamaica caper, and also black wattle.
This is the black wattle bush. This is the neem tree. And this here is the love bush.
Torchwood.
This one is called the locust. It's the maho tree.
Whis vine.
It's nickel, the tire palm.
Sea grape.
The sea grape. Yeah, this next one has the white lime.
Locally, it's called painkiller.
Yes, this next one has the painkiller. Oh, this is pop bush.
Now, let's examine some of the plants in more detail.
Out of the dry forest area and into. This is hoop vine, which is Trichostigma octandrum, and its habitat is at the edge of forested areas. Of course, it needs something to climb on. It needs trees to climb on, but it gets very abundant where you have plenty of light. This particular species has been used for some time on St. John as a bit of a cottage industry for making baskets. This is flamboyant. Flamboyant is Dolonax regia of Madagascar, and in its native habitat, it's sadly disappearing. It's almost extinct. However, the irony is that it is one of the most common, one of the most ubiquitous ornamental trees in all the tropics. It's got famously gorgeous flowers, very, very showy, brilliant burnt orange flowers. And it produces a legume, a pod, that's very, very long and dries out and the seeds become loose inside a very woody case, and it makes an excellent musical instrument. So that's a very popular musical instrument in the island.
Yeah, this next one here we call the flamboyant tree. And this is the flamboyant seed pod we call shak shak. And this is also the flamboyant seed pod. We turn it into a little percussion instrument. We put some nice paint on it. It's a very good something to have on your table as a little ornament, a little souvenir. But the flamboyant tree is a very beautiful tree. They love to have it like when they're having weddings, parties, and you pick the flowers and you put it right on your table when you're going to have a nice beautiful picnic. It's always in ceremonies, right? The seed pod now. The seeds from inside of the pod, we put it into our maracas. We use it for our arts and crafts, like to make necklaces, bracelets, anklets, earrings, all that stuff you use with the seed pod. And there's also a game that they play with this here. We used to call it polkak. And you take one of these little pedals right here, and somebody else take a pedal, and you kind of like wind it around the other one until the head of the pedal falls off. That means you lose. The last one to have the head of his pedal comes off, he wins. And this one here again is the flamboyant seed pod tree.
This is a ganip tree. It's a canopy evergreen which provides great shade. It was introduced, more than likely, from South America by Amerindians. When they migrated to the islands, they probably used it as a food source because it produces a fruit with a leathery rind and soft pulp on the inside. It is now ripening, and if you were to take a fruit and open it up, the outside is green and leathery, and the inside is a very soft and sugary pulp. However, most of the inside is taken up by a stone, that is the seed, on the inside. This certainly is very popular around the island and has been for many, many decades as a summertime treat because of its sweetness of the pulp. Also, in other parts of the region, the fruits in the pulp are used to make an extract and a dye, a kind of a dark dye for fabrics.
This next one is what? Very good, very good. And these usually come out when? September, October, when they come out? Anybody know? When?
Like right around now.
Like right around now, coming right into September, October.
No, because there's not enough.
I don't think these are right. I don't think they're right. So we just.
Do you have a towel?
This is a coconut right here. I was just talking to you about the coconut. This is a coconut and this is the husk. When you broke this open, this is what you're gonna get. I was telling you that this is very good to smoke around your home because it helps keeps away the mosquito. The more this you have smoking out the area, it detours the mosquitoes. They don't like smoke. They don't want to come around. This is very good for that. Now the meat on the inside, it has a shell, then meat on the inside. The meat is used for flavoring your food, for a drink, for a type of, they make sugar cake, which is a tart out of it as well. The drink, the water is very good. It's been known to be one of the #1. But coconut is a very good fruit. It also is used for craft, like for instance a bag, a utensil like to scrape the coconut. We also use the shell for that. We use it to make pendants. We use it to make little bowls, ashtrays, cups, you name it, spoons, fork, all that stuff we do with the coconut. Very good.
This coastal plant is called Morinda citrifolia of the coffee family. Locally, it's called painkiller, and the reason it's called painkiller is that they take a fresh leaf and they use it as a poultice. So you blanch this for a short period of time, and then the metabolites are released, and it's great for muscle treatments for tight muscles as well as for wound healing. The fruit in its home Pacific environment is often, wait until it's very soft, crush it, and then make a tonic that you actually drink with a host of different therapeutic effects, including treatments of blood pressure, and heart ailments. The roots are actually used, they actually make an extraction of the roots, and they use those roots for making a dye for cloth, for fabric in the Pacific.
Also, this same bush I'm here speaking about, the painkiller, they would take one of these leaves back in the olden days, they would pass it over the fire, put a little oil first or afterward over it, and make it kind of heated and warm. Or they will mash it so you could start to see the liquid foam coming out of it, and place it on a foot. If, for instance, your foot is wounded, you place it on there for the night, you wrap it nicely. In the morning, it should ease the pain, the foot should feel a lot better. They call it painkiller. I guess that's why they call it painkiller. And as I say, they call it painkiller, noonie, and starvation. This is the food.
You find it, Tom?
That's it right there.
Oh, wow. Tell me about this.
This is the black wattle bush. This is very good for the cold. What it does when you, okay, let me put it this way. The way when you're taking it, you steep some water, you boil some water, you put it into a cup, and then you put 1 or 2 leaves into the cup so it could steep. It turns black. I think that's where they get the name black wattle bush, because the water actually turns real dark. And when you take this here for the cold, when you take it, it breaks down your mucus, that heavy, thick stuff you got on your chest when you're coughing or whatever, it breaks it up. So this is number one for the cold, I would say. Very good for the cold, black wattle bush.
This plant is in the caper family, Capparis cynophalophora. Regionally, this is called Jamaica caper or black caper, and more locally, it's called black wattle. Now, black wattle, the leaves are used to make a concoction that is used to treat skin ailments, as a diuretic, and also as a headache treatment. This is sea grape, Cocoloba uvifera, and it has a habitat mostly on sandy but sometimes coral cobble strand along coastlines. And it produces a fruit that looks like a grape, and when these ripen they turn purple, and they're used in jams and preserves. But the plant in general has a lot of other uses. The roots, for instance, can be, you can extract tannins and use them to dye fabrics. The leaves, one can make an extract that can be used as a purgative, as well as a headache remedy. Certainly the wood is one of the finest cabinetry woods we have in the region. It's very hard, very dense, and also is kind of a bright red color. So it's really beautiful wood.
Yes, this next one here is the sea grape tree. When I was a child, I would go to work with my mom, and while she's doing her little work, I would be out on the beach. This is actually Canil Bay I'm speaking about, where she used to work. And I'll go on the beach and there'll be a lot of sea grapes, and I would just pick bags of sea grapes.
This tree is called tamarind tree, Tamarindus indica. It was introduced ultimately from India, but via other parts of the Caribbean, more likely. And this particular tree was planted early on for its edible fruit. The fruit is a pod, essentially, and unlike many legumes that dry out, this one has a moist center, and the center pulp that surrounds the seeds is usually removed from the seeds, and then a drink is made out of it.
This next one here is the palm tree. This one here is the tire palm. This is the one we use to make brooms with. This is also the one they used to use for when they're strapping up fish. They're going fishing and they don't have any rope or a piece of strap or something. They would take this here and kind of like twirl it around into like a piece of little whisk or rope and tie up your fish, and you put your fish on your back and you go home with it. This one is the tire palm. Okay, there are many varieties of palm. We got a Christmas palm, we got a coconut palm, we got a the fish palm, we got a the paradise palm. We got a variety. There's much more palms. This one here is the tire palm.
Hymenaea corboril, with a less than dignified common name of stinktoe, is one of the marvelous timber species of the neotropics. It's very, very hard, used in fine cabinetry. And this particular tree has a pod, and some are now about ripe in the tree. Those pods are fairly large and contain about 3 to 4 seeds, and they're very easy to grow. They also can be used as a musical instrument, not as good as a flamboyant tree, perhaps. But this tree has tannins, and those tannins have been used to dye fabrics.
Yeah, this is a calabash. The calabash is a medicinal herb. These were brought in here back in the slave trade days from Africa. And the little ones are native to the island. These bigger ones was imported, like I said, back in the slave trade days from Africa. But now you can see them throughout the whole Caribbean over the years and centuries that we have been growing them here now. You'll see them big and stuff like that. The calabash is also used for arts and craft. We also use it for utensils. We also use it for a medicinal herb like asthma and mange. Today we use them for, like I said, arts and craft. We use them for masks, pendants, maracas, chimes, you name it. Calabash is used widely for a lot of stuff here, man. Very nice.
Back in the days, what they used to do is put a calabash, you know the calabash them, on top of your head and then shave around the side. Never did
bowl
like
cut.
A bowl cut, yeah. Never did like that. And you climb right up the tree. It won't come down.
This is bay rum tree, as its local name. It's Pimenta racemosa of the myrtle family. Now, this tree has a geographic range throughout the Caribbean basin. Its essential oils have been used in numerous locations across a whole spectrum of utilities. One of them is for a hair tonic. Rheumatoid arthritis is another key use of the plant. And this particular plant, in its essential oils in this location, has been actually mixed with alcohol that is distilled in the area rum factories. And that alcohol mixed with the essential oils becomes what is called locally St. John Bay rum, which is a cologne that is used throughout the world right now. Charcoaling as late as the 1920s was substantial on St. John.
Charcoaling was our lifeline. Was one of the industries in which every single person in St. John took part in making his living. We had the forests, we had the trees, we had the land, we had everything that was necessary to do the charcoaling commercially and for family use.
And what the basket makers will do is they'll cut long pieces of this, dry it somewhat, strip the outer bark where necessary, and then use the thicker portions of that hoop to begin baskets. But it is the basis for a cottage industry that's very popular on St. John.
Even though botanists know the plants and their many uses, the majority of island inhabitants do not. In fact, the number of Afro-West Indian natives who know the plants and their traditional uses can be counted on one hand. Let's examine what's happening to plant knowledge on the island.
Do you feel that people are disconnected from the land?
Yes, very much so. And I think we need to get more involved in the land. We need to get more connected to the land. And the way you do that, you get into the soil. You learn the different way of planting. You learn the communication with the water, the sun, how you put certain things are more sun plants, certain things does better in the shade. You learn all of that, just like how people interact. a lot of what I learned is mostly from my mother and other elders, is that our elders are not being brought into the schools like when we were growing up. We had elders coming to teach us basketry, to teach us to make calabash bowls, bags, maracas, bird feeders. We don't have that anymore. We had elders come in and give us and teach us about storytelling. We had elders come in and had us dance, had us sing, had us told us about the olden days, what they used to do. Today people, the elders are consumed. Some of us are holding 3 and 4 jobs. We don't have time with children anymore. And the children, them on the other hand, they are caught up with TV and the computer and little gadgets, little games and stuff, you know.
What do young people have to do to learn about the plants on St. John and the Virgin Islands?
Well, they definitely have to pay attention, you know. We have to not just pay attention. We go out into the woods, you bring the children into the woods or into the, we say bush. And, one by one teach them the plant. Like for instance, this is a wild tamarind, you tell them this is a wild tamarind and you talk to them about it. What it was used for, what is it good for, what do you do with it. For instance, that same wild tamarind, you make crafts out of it. The goat eat it, the donkey eat it, you know. So don't just ask questions. You take a plant and you bring it back home and you say, Dad, what's this? What is it good for, you know? You ask questions, you interact. And that's one of the ways children will learn about their plants and their surroundings and carry it on to other generations as well. These are things that we need to put down in the archives. These are things we need to put in books. These are things we need to see every day and touch and feel. Take it, bring it into your art class and draw it, paint it, take it and make sketches of it, you know. These things have to be carried on to generations and generations, and so far we haven't been doing that. Show me your calabash, cha-la-la-la-la. Show me your calabash, cha-la-la-la-la. Show me your locust, cha-la-la-la-la. The sweeter than sugar and plum. Eh, show me your okra calabash too. Show me your okra calabash too. Show me your okra and your locust, sweeter than sugar and plum. Eh, show me your motion, cha-la-la-la-la. Show me your moon. Sun in the morning, moon at night. You can stand any part of the universe and feel the heat of Jah. Whoa, eh. I tell life are the best. Whoa, yo. I tell life are the best. Whoa, yo. I tell life are the best. Sun, moon, and stars.
I think anything that comes along that line of saving for future generations is about the greatest thing we can do and talk about, because we who are going, and surely we are, when we go, they are the ones who have to carry on for us the things that we didn't complete. And when they think about saving for others to come, it makes that circle go around and around and around until we get the whole world in our hands. And it would be a wonderful thing if we can leave that for our future generations.
And I thank God for him, you know. It's a
Teach
nice,
about the
yeah,
plants and how to grow
plants and
crabs.
yeah, everything. Bush tea, anything you could think about. Yeah, he just taught me. Yep.
The sugar apples and all of that as well.
Sugar apples, custard apples, kenneps, tamarind, gooseberry, mango, everything.
Great.
From fishing to whatever. Yep. Yep, everything. Yep, I'm glad I was blessed enough to be raised by him, you know? Yes, yeah. Know a lot of things here today, you know?
Oh, take him now. Mr. House, your donkey in the yard.
and I want you take him out. He eat off me yam, eat off me okra, eat off me tamon, even eat off the kennep. Everything he eat, this donkey don't give up. Mr. House, I beg you come and get your donkey. Mr. House, your donkey in the yard, and I want you take him out. Mr. House, your donkey in the yard, and I want you take him out. He eat off me cassava, eat off me yam, eat off the okra, eat off the dashing, he eat off everything. Now that's the end, Mr. House. Your donkey in the yard, and I want you take him out. Papana, papana, Mr. House. Your donkey in the yard, and I want you take him out. Pam 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 pam. Yeah man.